Our agenda today will be up momentarily. It is on the NatickFOSS website, natickfoss.org. And as I activate for sharing, we'll go to that window. And here you see our archive page, natickfoss.org archive page, listing all the agenda items for this month in our current meeting list and showing all the topics with links that we've had over the past several years. So if you come up with something you want to look up, here you can find many interesting topics. But to facilitate the visibility, I have also created an in-meeting agenda, which looks a little simpler and therefore may be easier for you to read if you're watching on YouTube. The link shown at the top of this agenda page includes a QR code that will take you to the archive page in case you want to use any of these links that show up in the agenda. The ones you see on screen are not what you can click, sadly, but I will be clicking on many of them as we go through the agenda. Nobody at the participant level, those showing on our Jitsi Meet screen, seem to be newcomers. So as is typical, we don't go through the introductory slide talk without somebody new in the participant group. That gets us into our FOSS News segment, which has several links today. Many of them related to the concept of artificial intelligence used for generating production code for open source software applications. Many different groups are opposed to using any kind of artificial intelligence generation, which is typically called vibe coding, and a repository of code called Codeberg is a community position, has taken a community position that vibe coding is not allowed in any of the projects on that repository, Codeberg. Unlike the GitLab, which is the big repository for open source code and other proprietary code as well, GitHub is a Microsoft product. Wasn't originally, but Microsoft bought it, and they are not opposed. So a lot of people have suggested moving away from GitHub if you have the control over a software project, getting your project moved from there to Codeberg or some other non-AI tool. One of the main Linux distributions, Debian, on which many other distributions are based, has moved to completely ban large language model vibe coding programs. And that makes a whole bunch of people who are not happy with the AI movement very happy, I think. One of the major compilers here, GCC, that is a tool used to actually create the final code for distribution, has banned legally significant AI code from being used as part of the GNU What is the middle C? It's the compiler for a sort of record for
GNU
most.
compiler collection.
Thank you. New compiler collection.
Yep.
And thank you, Jerry. The significance of those three is offset by the comments made by Linus Torvalds, the original author of Linux itself, that he believes the ship has sailed and that AI contributions to the kernel are inevitable and that code needs to be accepted where it is safe and has been vetted. I don't think he's just saying, let any old junk get in, but it does fly in the face of these other three announcements, at least. Anybody have a reaction to that concept?
Yeah, what I would like to sort of amend about the difference between vibe coding and AI assisted coding is if you're using AI to assist your coding, you are checking the outcome and you are knowledgeable about whether or not that output makes sense. And you make sure it does before you submit it. Vibe coding is done by people who do not understand the output. They just see that it looks like it works in the program, and that's good enough for them. But they do not have the capacity to audit it.
Or they have the capacity and don't choose to do so.
Correct, Bill. And either one is called vibe working.
Jerry?
Yeah, Bob Frankston, who you all should know, in the last BLU meeting, he said he's now using Claude, which is one version of an LLM program, to do all his coding now. I used Claude to generate a Python class that mimics what I've already written. I looked at the code and saw how they structured the Python class, and it was very, very similar how I actually wrote the code myself. And I need it to do a little bit more stuff, but I'm experimenting right now with using Claude.
Yeah, Claude is said to be good at generating code. But again, you have to kind of watch the output, make sure it isn't going off the rails somehow.
Absolutely, you do.
Dick and Jill?
I would say that.
Oh.
I would say that Linus's statement of where it's not legally significant
That's just
it is reasonable. I mean, it's not that different from what we're just talking about in terms of you're using it carefully and cautiously. Some publishing firms are demanding that people assert that there was no AI involved in writing a novel that they're buying, because they've realized that you can't copyright something that's based on plagiarism.
Yeah, my sister and several other people get advanced copies of books by popular authors. And when they catch AI generated content, especially where it is really bad AI content, they will call out that author.
Dick and Jill?
I was biting my tongue earlier. I spent close to 40 years in charge of the Lake Kosciuszko Watershed Association, working with state and federal officials galore, and the towns, of course. And it's a mess, guys. I'll add two more messes other than water pollution. One is that science is a political problem this year. We have a lot of interpretations of what's out there and of the laws about it that are based on ancient fiction because it was the best fit we had at the time. It's old news, but it and science fight with each other, and they both get stymied in the process. Uh, Two modern examples of that. One is the nuclear reactors we've been talking about. We can blow up multiple cities with a single bomb now. We're very advanced. Somehow it was supposed to be a good idea with the original thinking and with a lot of the current thinking. And the other one, of course, is the internet as a road into your private areas to either loot them or to plant trouble in them for other people to pick up. And these are big, big, big problems. I'm an expert on one of them and I can appreciate the other three. So we're on one of them today. Whatever is good about AI can be used against you. You can work harder and harder to find where you should patch it. I believe the most recent monthly Microsoft patch meeting on AI problems, crypto security, I believe they came up with almost 400 examples. That's not from scratch. That's just what they just added on. These are big problems. I don't hear much about them from Apple, but I've got a couple of links I'll share afterwards. You can read them in the follow-up about Apple. And I've got a lot of links about Linux. Why? Because people are allowed to talk about it. It's open source. But that's also a target for troublemakers. Back and forth, in and out, we're all affected. If you're not affected on your computer, the day they get into that power generator nuclear plant and make it go bad, there's more ways than just a giant explosion. It'll be the same story. It's just a different level that got briefly contaminated. And there's people out there working hard to contaminate all of them. So that's what this topic is about today. I bring my past expertise, and I only mention one more. Yesterday, I found a link I'd been mixing with another link. I thought they were both the same thing. I still haven't found out what country it's based in. The Who Are We section in it doesn't tell you, but it's the main crypto news channel I've been looking at for the last 24 hours.
Not crypto, which is money.
Right, it's cyber what
security.
Cyber security news. And what I'm reading on it is golden information, whether it's true or whether it's false. And it's very hard to measure which one is which. But it's golden for the problem reading it. And I recommend everyone take a look. You might start by taking a look at who are we?
No, it's about us.
And, about us?
Yeah.
In the main list.
Goes to nothing.
I wonder why it never gave you an answer. And that's the problem with this stuff. I think it may be the best place to look for issues. And yet, where do you go to find out which ones are falsified?
Right. Well,
that's where you go to. They told you so.
On the other side, of course, they're using AI to find
problems
in kernels and things like that.
And they find a lot on a daily basis,
Right.
growing with open holes to be used by bad people. And guess who some of those bad people are? Intelligence in almost every country, including the US, doing things to their advantage. And this is a very fruitful place to invest the money this year. There you have it.
Thank you, Dick.
Yeah, I'd like to correct one thing about nuclear power plants. The U.S. designs cannot explode.
He didn't mean to say that, he says.
Okay,
I said,
but they can
not,
leak. They can leak.
I'm
Bad.
not excluding the US. Any
Yeah.
country that's interested in this problem is playing games with it. Otherwise, you have to go on the legends.
Yeah, but it depends on the design of the plant.
Dennis?
So I have been playing around with some of the AI coding tools. I use them at work now. And so I wondered, what would the experience be for a new programmer if he doesn't have the money to be able to afford a subscription? And so I tried the hobbyist account on Cursor, and pretty much it's unusable. I've been able to run out of the tokens that you have within 5 minutes. So anything complex with that, it just can't do. I tried the GitHub Copilot, the free level of that, and at that level I gave it a plan that Cursor had come up with and told it to implement that. And it proceeded to do like one of the tasks or something like that, just a few. It modified like 4 files and then stopped. And at that point, it didn't even build. So I told it, hey, you didn't finish the whole job and that it doesn't even build. And so it kept working on it at that point. But at that free tier, it took like an hour of it making changes, trying to build, failing, and doing it again and again. So I do worry that we're going to be in this situation of, if you need to learn how to use these tools, you're going to end up in this situation where now there's a cost to even become a programmer that we had gotten rid of at one point.
Yeah, cost. Again, if you're hired by a company, of course, the company is paying for the tokens, and many companies are finding out just how expensive these tokens are and the subscriptions. And
Yeah,
so,
presumably they'll follow Apple's 40-year-old lead and give very cut rate tokens to universities so that programmers in training get addicted to them, so that the corps have to pay up.
They do have like student pricing already. So yeah, to some degree, that's what they'll do.
Traditional drug dealer, the first hit is free.
Yep. Just get an academic license then.
Okay. That is a topic that I'm certain we will return to in spite of its very high concern rate. It's not going to go away in the near future. And the last item in FOSS news isn't about something that was originally open source, but one of the early chips called the Z80 that everybody in this group knows was the basis for the TRS-80 and other early computers, not the only chip of their time, but the 50-year-old chip is just about ready to be reproduced as an open source project, which means if you need a technology that is tried and true, and you don't need something that's modern like an x86 or an ARM computer, maybe you'll be interested in exploring the chips that come out based on this project. It's not ready, but it's nearing production. So we might keep our ear to the ground to hear what's coming once people begin to use it, if they do. And that is both on the edge of FOSS history and on FOSS News. So into FOSS history, World Wide Web's 35th anniversary was August 6th. We just missed it by a week. The link that's here is a 5-year-old article, but here we are on the 35th instead of just the 30th. It's the same anniversary, or the anniversary of the same thing, just 5 more years along. Thank you, Tim Berners-Lee, for the creation of what many of us really love to play with, writing website code on our own without help from any AI. Okay, anybody else have some FOSS history to tell us about?
I was just going to say an add-on to your, it's also wonderful for watching stupid cat videos.
And it's also, when it started, the net of 1,000 lies. And that's such a low number.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then we get into our hot software. Jerry, tell us about GNOME and its new virtualization.
GNOME Boxes is not new. It's been around for years. I use it. Basically, I use it to test different distributions. For instance, if somebody says I'm having a problem with Ubuntu or something else, I'll bring it up on GNOME Boxes really quick. Let me share my screen real quick. And as you can see,
Yep.
well, as you can see on GNOME Boxes, let me switch it over. You're seeing that I've got Fedora, KDE, I've got Ubuntu, I've got Mint, and I've got Windows XP. But it's very easy to add. It's one of the easiest virtual memory managers. I mean, virtual managers. It works very, very nicely. You can add very easily, install from a file, or you can download it. And it's available on most GNOME-based distributions, and it's very, very easy to use.
Thank you, Jerry.
There's not much to see because you all know but I do sometimes do that. Also, it's good for doing, we're doing install fest and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I've lost my window, so let me just click a couple of spots on the screen here. And there we go. Thank you all for your patience as we flip from one screen to another on our various laptops. Hot software. Jerry just told us about using GNOME boxes. Emacs for humans. In the event that the Emacs group, the GNU set of programming tools, if Emacs allows LLM development, kind of harkens back to our early discussion, then Emacs is going to get forked to be called Emacs for humans, not just Emacs. Emacs is kind of a programmer level environment for doing just about anything you want to do on your computer. Coding, web browsing, you name it, writing. And if the LLM gets approved, vibe coding kind of things, then there will be a fork. I don't know if that affects anybody, but I thought it was interesting to hear the discussion and that it is going to be a possible fork. Hands up, I hear.
It's me.
Bill. No, it's not
Jerry.
Bill. Jerry.
Years ago, back in the 1980s, I used, before Windows, before windowing on Unix, I used Emacs because in Emacs you could have multiple windows and stuff like that. Because, you know, most of my task is editing and stuff like that. It's an editor that I've basically used since about 1982. I used it for many years. I stopped using it when I found it was a problem for code reviews because it would sometimes change a tab to spaces. And so it would show up on a code, it would cause problems on a code review. So they wouldn't see just lines of code that I coded, would see others. So I stopped using it at that point. But it's a very good editor. And you could also use it as an IDE before they ever had IDEs.
Thank you for your experience. Good. Dick and Jill? Whoop, microphone didn't come on.
Now I think.
No,
Yes,
now
no?
it is.
Yep.
Good. Okay. I have a question, and that is, with all our wealth of open source software, what does it offer equivalent to that?
What does Emacs offer?
Well, any tools that allow you to have separate systems side by side.
Well, remember, Emacs was actually written by Stallman himself.
And many others before and since.
Absolutely. There have been
But
companies that
it's an operating system and a religion as well as an editor.
we used to have a guy come around and says Emacs is God's editor.
We in this group do our best not to tromp on the religious beliefs of anyone, whether they're programmers or not. Okay, on from that, several people who are sight impaired are members of the Linux community because it offers so much of value in the open, but it isn't perfect. WordPress is one of those open source projects that has grown beyond its origins in a huge way, has a new theme that is known as Braille Write. I do not have that on any kind of WordPress instance, so I cannot demonstrate it in any way, but I thought that this was of value to those who are WordPress users and also want to deal with the sight impaired community. So I put that in there for people to be able to check on it. And there's a hand up, Jerry.
Yeah, I just want to mention that Emacs was available for blind people many, many, many years ago. We had one of the authors, I think Emacs for the Blind or something like that, at the BLU meeting. And I picked him up in my car and he brought his dog. And I had two other blind people in the car at the same time. It was pretty crowded. But he worked for Digital at the time, and he was, again, the developer of, I forget what they called Emacs, but it was Emacs for the blind, essentially. And that was about 20 years ago, I think, when I worked at Digital, one of my first projects at Digital. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, on to hardware. The Linux Experiment is a video series on YouTube, and one of the video segments was the exploration and use of an Ubuntu Touch phone. This link goes to the video, and it's quite long, so I won't click on it. But it was an interesting description of how it is possible to use that kind of phone in the modern age and get no other phone to do the daily work. I don't think he decided that he would switch to it permanently, but he was able to demonstrate to himself that it worked for the month he gave the experiment to run. And that, I think, is good news, because as we actually get the changes from all the vendors of phones, they almost always are Android, which, though based on Linux, isn't Linux, and the Apple iPhones. If we come to a point where those proprietary systems lock us out from what we want to do, it's good that there is an effort that is working at least adequately to produce an alternative. Obviously, you have to modify your phone, and not all phones will be capable of running Ubuntu Touch, but the news out of this video was good to hear. Similarly, there is a new book that, excuse me, not an book, an ebook reader that is called OpenBook Touch, and it is a crowd-funded operation. For those who are not familiar with that, there are 2 or 3 crowdfunding sites where people offer their financial assistance in the form of a purchase of a proposed product. And this is Open Hardware's answer, one of the answers at least, doing an effort to replace the Kindle and the Nook, both of which are proprietary. And it's only $149 to support this project and get one when it comes out, probably in October. It's based on an ESP32 chip. And for what it's worth, I have invested $149, and I will let you know what I get when I get it. But I heard hands, so let's hear from Dick and Jill.
I'm making a lot of noise. On the prior one, and maybe it applies to this as well, I wanted to say that earlier I'd been doing a lot of experimenting to get something that's sort of a headset, sort of a hearing aid, and tunable by you, not by some expert, and inexpensive, durable, good sound, etc. I've come a long way on the first half of my quest. People will differ in their subjective likes and dislikes for sound. If you can tune it, that might not matter until you get to the limit of the item. But I have two items. I can talk about them later, but I want to mention them here because they're the same kind of topic. I find a favorite speaker for me. Battery runs quite a while, sounds quite good, fits in your pocket. I like it. And it runs remote, of course, or you can wire it on. And the not quite hearing aids that sound great to me, they fit behind your ear and not in your ear, so you can hear other people talking in the room. And so you can share them for test purposes to see what somebody likes. I went through a lot of these. We've got quite a collection of these two kinds of tools now. And anyone near Natick is welcome to come over and visit and try 10 of them or more and see what they think of what we think are the wins. These can be found for under $50 in some places in the US. The earphone might cost $1,000 or $4,000. And in China, think more like the $5 to $10 range. And we've been very carefully bringing some in, and we've got them marked up $5 or $10, depending on how much trouble we have getting them. And these particular ones we like, we have a few in stock, and we could sell them to you. The non-on-the-ear one, $12. I'm not sure of the price of this one right now, but similar. But if you just want to hear them and then think about it, that's fine with us. They're here because I had to answer a question for me. And a bunch of other people are liking them too. There's a lot of FOSS software to support them. They come with some, but you can use it with other things as well. They're not proprietary in that sense. And I'm anxiously looking for even better tools to use with them and to take this fellow on to the hearing aid level. Good instant tuning and such. Let me know if anyone's interested, and I'll give a talk on it later, but it fit in with that first item.
There you go. Thank you. There is an organization called Free Inc. that is a support organization to provide standards and other kinds of support. Another e-reader is this XTEINK, and one of the vendors of a lot of open source hardware, the component level, Seed Studio, are supporters of this, and they're in support, I guess, rather than being vendors of any particular product, but they go together with the Open Touch e-reader and any other ebook readers that are out there, trying to do some of the work that Dick is describing for the hearing aids for e-book readers. So those links are there for you if you are interested. All right, this next group, the next three about battery and energy storage alternatives beyond the lithium-ion age, describe new battery technology that we have mentioned in the past, but at a higher level of preparedness. The sodium ion batteries have been in our thoughts for a while, but a Chinese company has successfully begun production of these car level and house level and storage capacity for the grid. That's the level of battery that we're talking about in these three articles, not replacements for the lithium ion batteries in a phone or a hearing aid or any of those small situations at this time. But for the big project, these sodium batteries have the ability, as mentioned in this third of the three, to charge in 4 minutes and hold their capacity not for just a week or two, but for years. The sodium metal batteries are a thing of the future, and these three links are a way to get information about where we are in the process. And I heard a hand go up. It was Jerry. Thank you.
Yeah, I've done some research on sodium batteries. The company in China is CATL, the largest battery manufacturer in the world. There were some breakthroughs on there, but the big key to any kind of battery is what they call energy density. Lithium ion has the best energy density of any battery right now. And but salt batteries are coming very close. Another battery technology that's being used is LFP. And they've got sodium batteries that now can come very close to LFP batteries. So you should be seeing sodium batteries again in grid storage, and you're going to see it in some cars and stuff like that. You're not going to see it in the high range cars because it just doesn't have an energy density high enough. But one of the things that it does have is safety. It does not have the thermal runaway that you have in lithium. So I think you're going to see basically salt batteries come in cars with about a 300-mile range or less. And of course, sodium ion batteries will be considerably cheaper because sodium is quite plentiful. But as I said, you're not, because of the energy density, you're not going to see them in phones or things like that. Solid state batteries are just coming into the marketplace right now. There are some companies that actually have commercially available solid state batteries, but you're not going to see them in cars until next year.
This is a borderline technology as far as FOSS is concerned, but as you can obviously tell, it is of interest, at least within our community, because of its potential for running a lot of the equipment that we'd use on a daily basis as human beings. And it's technology progress, which interests FOSS users. So that's why we talk about it. Thank you, Jerry.
And Alcott, we've lost your screen share. There we are. You're back.
Yep. When I come back to look at all the faces so I can see reactions and hand raising, my screen shuts that down. And because of the way Firefox works, it becomes a tab that's not active somehow. So I have to always come back to refresh it. So remind me if it happens when we need it, but otherwise it's not a big deal to get it back. Okay, this last item in the hot hardware I mentioned before the meeting actually got going. It's about a combination of technology with a laptop. I know a lot of people who use multitudes of screens. Two is common, with the laptop being the driving unit and then a larger screen next to it. But there are several people who want more than just two screens. And this setup allows if you look carefully here, it folds here, it folds here, and it folds here. If you buy the full arrangement of 3 screens with the stand, it is a project that is not a cheap project, obviously. If you decide to back it, you'll be paying $719 for an early bird version of it. That's not cheap, but it is something that if you need it now, you could get in on it early. Otherwise, you'll be paying a full price for it when it becomes a regularly available object. They have succeeded in getting way beyond their $10,000 goal of the original offer. When it's crowdfunded, they don't always get to the goal and then the project dies. But in this case, they've almost accumulated $500,000 of support from ordinary people, not just corporate VC investors. And that means that as far as the project is concerned, if they successfully follow through, and that's one of the things about any of these crowdfunded activities, you have to be careful and invest your money as a flyer, not as a guarantee of product. But if they succeed in making this, they have enough money to do a good job of it. It's a triple monitor with 3 16-inch screens that allow you to surround your laptop with other screens. I don't think I'm going to get one of these. I did not invest in this one, but I thought it was worth having a look as a thing in our agenda. Anybody have a need for this kind of thing, or do you make do with just a couple of connected monitors on an HDMI cable? I think Dick and Jill.
Yes, another question.
Yep.
This looks like a physical solution, like the GNOME boxes.
It's not for running separate operating systems. It's for running separate windows and or activities on individual screens around your main laptop screen, and probably bigger than most laptops.
But if I'm correct, boxes also allows you to run 3 examples on one screen. 3 different things in one operating system.
Well,
Jerry?
Well, GNOME Boxes is a virtual machine manager, and you can run several You could run 1, 2, 3. I've run 3 or 4 all at the same time in presentations for the virtual group years ago. But for GNOME boxes is just a easy way to get virtualization on your computer. It doesn't have all the capabilities of the main, of an advanced virtual manager.
Sounds like they're analogous, but not
I'm thinking
duplicate.
the physical solution is not as easily available for cyber contamination. But of course, it depends on who you want to trust.
My son has a setup with 2 monitors that he hooks up to his laptop so that he can be working and watching a meeting of one of the groups that he's a participant of in his job. He doesn't actually have to participate in the meeting, but he has to listen to what's going on so that if they ask a question that he's responsible to answer, he can jump into the meeting. But at the same time, he's able to work his email on another screen, and it's an isolation of tasks that this unit makes possible in a portable way. My son's setup is not portable at all. And when you have 2 outside monitors and you're running on monitors that have to plug in by HDMI cables, you can imagine how much work it would be to unplug and transport. The thing that interested me about this particular setup was its fold to closure, and all of it would fit in the same backpack as your computer. Bill?
I've seen people selling the hinges to adapt iPads or Android tablets to clip onto a laptop screen in a similar fashion. And then you use the modern USB-C video connection option to make it a second screen. But I know just how hard it is, or really not that hard, to set up a second monitor on a laptop, since I use a very large screen. It's as big as many double screens. I didn't want a seam in the center, and I like the curved screen. It's a luxury. For depth, requiring less depth of focus on my old eyes. But I'm currently double screening right now, even though I have the big screen in front of me, because my Android tablet is easier to get it to share a camera. So I'm logged into the meeting only on the Android tablet now, and Linux desktop's doing something else. But when I go to Maine to visit Mom, if I want to share genealogy with her, my spare flat screen monitor travels in my laptop case along with the laptop, and it uses like a Raspberry Pi power source, and through a chain of adapters, because I don't have exactly the right cable, it plugs into the laptop's external monitor port, and I can mirror my screen so that somebody sitting not looking over my shoulder can see what I'm seeing, or I can have 2 programs, each full screen, on 2 separate screens when I'm portable. And if you get a flat screen, it's really not that bad to set up in the field. You just need
Seriously? There we go. Dick and Jill.
Wait a minute.
Yep.
I like Bill's example, but we don't bring a second monitor. When people come to visit us, or when we go to visit them, and we want to share photos, video, whatever, we just go to their 50-inch to 80-inch diagonal high-res television set. And it hooks up quite easily, and it's very effective.
Okay. That, I think, is a smart move, as long as you have a cable that goes across the living room.
You can use
Oh.
Bluetooth.
And Bluetooth is possible too. Yep.
Yeah, and there are other wireless ways of connecting.
Okay. Hot internet, I think, is where we are. This first article is unfortunately a visible mess because it cuts out after about the first paragraph asking you to subscribe to Adweek before you read. But I thought that the concept was worth talking about. That Google search has become a bit of a problem for actual publishers of useful information, since Google's default does not show the link to the original publisher. It shows AI generated summary as the first content displayed, which I think is making publishers less pleased, because getting a click through to your site is always one of the big deals of the SEO concept of the internet and modern internet. If you want to be highly regarded, you want to be high on the list of search results. And everybody out there who is trying to make money on the internet is trying to have the high tops position. But with Google search destroying that, it is making some people think, well, we're wasting our money trying to use Google search. Let's try to find some other way. I did not get to read the whole article, but I thought it was worth bringing up here because maybe somebody knew more than I was able to find out about this. Has anybody located other references?
Yes, there is. ComputerWeekly.com has an article. This is spearheaded in the UK. The UK has ruled that Google must provide online publishers and news organizations with the ability to opt their work out from being summarized by the AI. And I don't know if that's the same thing or related.
I'm sure it's at least related, and I think this may be one of those things that we want to keep track of over the next months, in case it makes search become something different from what it is today. I've switched to DuckDuckGo for my daily search instead of using the default of Google. I know other people have done that as well, and I'm not sure I'm getting better results, but I'm not suffering the same immediate, here's your summary, that I get on my Android phone. Dick and Jill? Your hand is up?
Yeah, now my microphone is on.
Yeah.
We also use DuckDuckGo, which has an AI summary option, but you can turn it off.
Good. Because while the AI summary has not hurt my searches, I find it distracting to think I'm not getting the links I used to get. When I did Google early days, because, it's been around for a long time, and Arnie submitted a very nice article that we're going to get to in a while that talked about early days of what Google search did for the internet. Its weighted link generator, whatever tool it had, made things that were popular rise to the top as a way to get views on a long list of potential search results. Those that had the best connectivity were the ones that seemed to be of interest to people, and those were the ones that rose to the top. And now an AI search just says, here's what I know that they knew that I won't let you see. And I'm troubled by that process. Okay, so.
By the way, I've never known the Gemini AI summary to refuse to show you its sources.
I don't think that's
you can
so
see
much
them.
It's
You can
just
see
that it's not obvious that you're getting the original information.
Yeah, the problem comes when when the AI is scraping content from a site and you don't click through, then that site loses money.
Yep. Okay.
And what you were referring to with the Google algorithms and people playing them is also known as SEO, or search engine optimization.
Thank you. What did I call it? SEI?
Oh, no, you may have called it SEO.
Okay.
It's just that's what it refers to.
Right. Thank you. Now, a new service has come out from Vivaldi. It's not a different service, but radio streaming is a nice way to be able to listen to music that is not local. If you want to get music from a station in California or in southern Mexico or in Spain or in Sweden, there are streaming tools run by the stations for the most part that are filled with ads. And Vivaldi has decided to recreate that set of streaming links in a way that makes them ad free. And if you click through on it, you can see that there are choices galore from the United States. In Massachusetts, 21 radio stations. North America itself has 429. If you want to learn and listen to Asian conversations, there are 231 currently available. Europe, 508. Lots and lots and lots of stations, mostly music. But if you are studying Spanish and want to listen to a Spanish station, you can get North America, which includes Mexico. You can get Spanish from Spain. You can get Venezuelan music and Venezuelan idiom from South American stations. And this is something that Vivaldi Radio provides. I think it's a nice thing because it's ad free. One of the things that Vivaldi wants available to listen to themselves and for their Vivaldi browser people to talk about. I think I found this without Ed's help, although Ed is a very strong proponent of the Vivaldi experience. Do you know more, Ed, than I have said? Well, Ed, oh, there he is.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah, my headphones switched into noise cancellation. No, you pretty much covered everything. Like most of the, at least for the local area, most of the, the public stations are there. GBH, CRB, Emerson. I added some of the college stations as well, so it's hope
Yeah.
it's a big success.
Yeah.
Cool.
The CRB stream, I believe, is relatively ad reduced or ad free to begin with because it's part of NPR.
That's true. Yes. And
They'll just occasionally ask you to contribute or donate.
the ads that are in the radio stream are going to be there as well. If the program has advertisers, you're going to hear those ads. What is missing is the ads that are from the service itself that
Yeah.
flash on the screen and do pop-ups and overlays. They're nice services that in some cases make it very difficult to listen to a radio broadcast that was intended to come directly from the station because as I understand it, the station is developing the stream from its corporate offices, and it's a link that has some structure to it that is a streaming link. What aggregators do is what Vivaldi has done here. Vivaldi is just making those aggregations quiet, no grasping of control over the streams. It just says, you want this station? Go ahead, listen to it.
Yeah, I don't know how they get away with stripping out the ads. They must have some arrangement with
No,
the
I
services.
don't think they strip out the ads from the station.
No, from the streaming services. They must have some kind of arrangement with the services.
Either that or they're just getting the stream directly from the station.
That would have to be by arrangement with the stations themselves. I don't know how it works though.
Yeah.
Ed
Ed?
might know.
Yep.
Yeah, what comes in on that is the stream from the station itself. What you're not seeing is the ads in the Vivaldi interface.
And that makes it clean and simple to use and therefore a very positive experience. I thank them for it and thank you, Ed. Dick and Jill?
Question. If you're getting a stream, either it has ads in it or it has blank spaces where the ads were.
No.
Can't
This
you
is
just
added
that-
on ads.
Can't you
It-
just
it's-
at your end forward a bit through the ad?
The ads from the station itself, the audio combination of music and talk and ads is there. What's missing is the overlay ads of the service. Vivaldi is not making those overlay ads.
Well, in any case, either you can blank them out, but if you can't you just skip through them from your end?
Not if it's live.
No,
Oh,
you're listening to a
okay.
live stream.
Okay.
There's nothing different about the stream, no matter who is providing the aggregation. It's that the aggregation is not hard to use and not overburdened by ads from the streaming aggregator. Vivaldi is really just an aggregator here, as I get it. Jerry?
Yeah, in my car, I don't have a direct tuner. I have a TuneIn, which is provided free by Tesla. But some of the ads are really comical because they geolocate.
Mm.
And whatever service that Tesla is using at the time, the URL comes from someplace different. I was getting California ads, and then I was getting Georgia, Atlanta ads that are very personalized, which were a little interesting because they were very specific to living in some region of California or some region in Georgia. Although sometimes I have to have my wife translate Georgian.
Well, obviously they're trying to get you to go there.
There you go. Travel
They're
log.
coming up here next week.
And pretty soon your car will probably just take you to those places.
Okay. I love the discussions we get into here.
Whether you want to be taken there or not.
Exactly. It's full self-driving mode.
My full self-driving takes me right out of my garage and took me right into Dick's driveway.
All right. Kill the cookie banner. The EU's plan is not in place, but what they would like to do is to eliminate the need for fragmentation of cookie preferences that happen every time you log into a new site that uses cookies. They pop up a banner and they say, how do you want to deal with these cookies that we need you to use so that we can get our information from you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And people generally just clear the screen of them. I don't know what clearing the screen does, but shutting them down, I think, automatically says, yeah, go ahead, use me, I don't mind. What the EU plan proposes, and it would be great if it gets implemented, is to set up some common set of preferences that makes only the necessary preferences, only the necessary cookies to run the site, if there is such a thing. And once you have set those preferences within your browser, which is capable of doing this, as I read the article, you only have to do one set of preferences and it will apply to every site you visit, so you're not plagued over and over and over and over by the same request, not being sure what you're giving away.
I have seen something very similar to that that's been around for a long time. It's a browser plugin called Ghostery, and the plugin retains your settings, so you can go ahead and clear your cookies with all due abandon, and you will still have these preferences baked in. Some sites will still pop up their own preference banner, but a lot fewer sites are doing it then. So it's coming close to universal, but it's not quite.
Yeah, and it may only apply to the EU, as it turns out, because this is an EU initiative, along with a lot of other interesting initiatives that have come out of the EU in recent years to try to give them digital sovereignty. That's a big set of terminology related to not being reliant on the tech giants of the United States for every single detail of the internet.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it turns out, but this was an interesting article talking about that quest. And in a slightly different twist on the problem, Sony has rights to a whole bunch of movies. And what they do is they offer them to you on your TV as a rental, or you can buy the movie. If you buy the movie, you don't actually get a copy of it in your own house as if you'd bought a CD or DVD. What you get is a perpetual license for 2 or 3 times the rental price, or maybe 4 or 5 times the rental price. But Since it doesn't reside in your house on a physical piece of hardware, Sony can and has and will continue to eliminate them from the list of available movies for whatever reason. They lost a contract or whatever. But people who paid the $35 to own a movie no longer have it in their list of available things to watch. And this is one of the things about the internet that is really troubling. If you do not actually have a physical copy, do you own anything? It's the same question of the software from companies like Adobe. For a while, you could buy a piece of software from Adobe at very high prices, but it would continue to work just fine for a long time, and you could install it on every computer serially that you replaced old computers, put the software on your next new computer. But Adobe has removed that option, and you cannot buy a physical copy of their software. You can only buy a subscription, and when your subscription runs out, bang. But people at least know that they're going to run out of it because it is a subscription and not a bought, not a purchase. So this is a troubling trend. I hear a hand. Let's see who it is. It's Dick and Jill.
Yeah, this is my problem with the whole thing about cloud storage.
What?
They can decide that they need more space and delete your stuff anytime they want.
I have a question. If you can see it, why can't you re-record it while you're seeing it?
I suppose if you
DRM
know
is
what
built
you're
in.
doing, you can do that.
DRM is built in, and all browsers and all operating systems have DRM. You cannot connect to a service if your OS does not support DRM. So you can't even connect to the Sony service without DRM.
Digital rights management.
Yep.
I think that wasn't the question. The question was, we certainly have the ability to record a YouTube that's playing and save it on our hard drive. The question is, if people bought these things, why couldn't they have saved them on their hard drive? And my guess is that they had no idea that they might lose it.
Yeah, but it's still not possible to do that because of the way these things are formatted. You might be able to record it, but you'd never be able to play it back with any software.
I think I have a special tool for solving that problem.
If you're lucky, you might.
He's going to play it and set his
just
phone.
Record it on my smartphone.
You lose.
You lose detail.
Detail.
You lose detail, but yeah, you can do it.
No, you won't. My phone has much better resolution than what they're shipping.
Well.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that might work.
Sound might not be as good.
Let's put it this way. The only movies that cannot be copied are movies that cannot be seen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know to what extent this group is a social media group. I've had the feeling that every once in a while people give it a look, but are not as enthralled as I have become with Mastodon and the Fediverse. But if you want to follow a set of accounts that are specific, there's an application now called Telecaster that will allow you to use really simple syndication feeds as your way to connect to a particular person's account on social media. so you don't have to watch everybody's as they flow by in the stream. I have not used it, but I thought it was an interesting hot internet item for those that might want to check it out for their social media experience. Okay, and this is the remembering the pre-Google Web. This was Ed, not Arnie, I'm sorry. Arnie did another one that we will come to. Do you have something you wanted to tell us about this one, Ed?
I just thought it was a pretty interesting read how search was doing, before actually Google became before Google was in existence.
Is it worth clicking through here during the meeting? Or
Yeah,
just
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
first thing to remember about the pre-Google internet? No built-in assumption you could search for everything. Many users founded pages through Yahoo-style directories and bookmarks and newsgroups and links from other sites because the web was still small enough that a human organized list would work. And then came this Google tool. And here we are. Cool. Thanks for the listing. People who want to pursue that can certainly do so. All right, computer security. We have about a half an hour left of our meeting, so we're going to probably make it through most of this. Jerry, I think this is your 400 kernel vulnerability patches article.
Yeah. I think I put this in last month, and somehow
I think we missed it last month.
Pushed. Yeah, and I didn't look at the whole agenda the other day, so I didn't read to refresh. But essentially, somebody, I think Bob mentioned that a few minutes ago when we were talking about AI in the Linux kernel. But essentially, AI has been being used to look for vulnerabilities in Linux and other things. And they generated about 400 patches for the kernel. And this is the power of AI. It can do a lot of things fast that would take hours or days or even years to do, which you can do in a very, very short period of time.
The last Microsoft patch, the big security patch, was 567 vulnerabilities, most of them discovered through AI. And it fell flat on its face in one of my computers. Part of the problem was the download, the software distribution folders in Windows got filled up with 18 gigabytes of downloads.
Ooh.
Probably mostly related to the patch. Once that got cleaned up, everything went through.
Yep.
Dick and Jill?
Okay.
Am I on?
Yeah, now
Yes.
you're on.
Good. I mentioned this earlier, but this is the spot where it fits. I'll add some other links, much like this, some on Linux, some on Microsoft Windows, some on particular apps, and we don't have to discuss them now. I'll just send them along so they can be added in for later looking at.
Thank you. I'll look forward to those. Will they come in email?
To you, email just the links, and I'll do that before I go to sleep tonight.
No problem. I don't get to updating this agenda online until tomorrow generally. So that's perfect. Speaking of the updates of the agenda, we do our work through an online GitLab wiki, and anybody that has something they want to be covered in an agenda should contact any of the board members who can access that wiki and add agenda items. And I appreciate all the ones that do get added, so that the burden of building an entire agenda doesn't fall squarely on one person's shoulders. We share it together. Thank you all. And don't hesitate to send emails, as Arnie did, to suggest something that should be in the agenda. And we will get to Arnie's as we come upon it. There it is, large language in our next topic. I see it right here. Okay. Chrome Sync, a tool that synchronizes your various bookmarks and such, has apparently turned itself into some useful stalking tool. If a boyfriend or girlfriend of a vulnerable individual has set up a syncing of information between their device and yours, Chrome automatically tells them what you are doing online. What a wonderful tool. Maybe you shouldn't leave your computer unlocked when you are dating someone new. Read that article if it is of interest. Now, this one was a very, very disturbing thing. A while ago, the various Vizio computers were caught by the Federal Trade Commission in 2017 taking snapshots of your screen of your TV that you paid money for and sending those screenshots back to their corporate offices, where they were combined with information that's tied to your age, income, and all other data points that are available, and letting others access that by selling the information to let advertisers target you and your family individually. And that was 2017, and Vizio paid a fine. Isn't that wonderful? Automatic content recognition not only talks about, or not only captures what you watch on cable, it also does any streaming app, any DVD, any game console, any laptop plugged into the HDMI port. If it's on the screen, they can log it. What's worse is it's not just Vizio. They paid off people, the FTC, $2.2 million in fines, and had a class action that went against them and paid off a bunch of people. But Samsung and all the other major TV manufacturers have this same ACR enabled automatically. So read this article if you are concerned, and see if you can follow the directions to turn this off. Otherwise, everything you watch, everything you broadcast from your laptop onto the big screen of your TV, Dick, that will also be captured and sent back to their mothership. Good luck.
And there's something additional with at least LG TVs. The voice controlled remote if you don't switch off a certain switch, is recording everything in the room.
Say carefully what you want to say. Big Brother is watching and listening. Big Brother being corporate, not governmental. Dick and Jill?
Watching and listening and not admitting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now on to nicer things. Come on, find some nicer thing to talk about. Well, maybe not. The privacy tools don't always deal well with one another. If you have more than one privacy tool running in your browser, or one on your computer and one in your browser, or one on your laptop and one on your other computers in the house, they may or may not share information with each other, but they might actually overlap and cancel one another out. Iron Fox, Multivad DNS, and Quad 9 are the examples that are used. The symptoms are listed in the article. You can see that it is a problem, and you may want to do research through the starting point of this article. I did not get the chance over the past month to deal with it. Microsoft acknowledges that it has in its software a complete ID. GDID is its abbreviation, that completely identifies a device on which their software is running, and it cannot be disabled. There is no option anywhere in their software. So if you have a particular device that you don't want Microsoft to know everything about, don't install Windows on it. Comment from anybody? No. All right. Let's get through this security and freedom and directory of self-hostable projects. If you are anti-big tech and you don't like to think about storing vital or useful or good information on the cloud where it might be knocked away, you would want to know about what projects are out there to allow you to self-host the storage of your information. This is a nice organized list that lets you go through and read about all these different things that are data management, media management, content management, anything that stores your data and can be pulled into your control. This is a powerful list. Some of the things are very interesting to me, and I hope you will get the chance to look through them. For example, the sync thing does file transfer and syncing without relying on the Chrome tool. Well, maybe you could use this instead of the Chrome tool that is built in. Now, of course, it may be possible for a nasty boyfriend to use it just the way they would use Chrome, but at least you'd have thought about it if you installed it yourself. And finally, we get into our artificial intelligence and large language model segment. The first item is from Arnie. Thank you very much. There is a validation requirement, and this is The only thing about this site that is a pain in the neck, you do not have to sign in. Click the X and then click the sign in with Google X as well, and you get to read the LinkedIn information without signing in. In about 2 weeks, the EU AI Act starts enforcing its articles, including Article 10. It changes the question that regulators will ask about artificial intelligence tools. Starting August 2nd, any institution that runs high-risk artificial intelligence for credit scoring, whatever AML is, fraud detection, and so on, has to show that the data behind a specific model's decision, the data was accurate, it was representative, and it was fit for its purpose at the moment that it was used, which means it can't have been done 6 weeks earlier and you're relying on that outdated information. It has to be a live validation. And I gather this guy is also talking about a kit that will do this for you. But the concept in the EU regulations sounds like a very interesting necessity. I don't know how it's going to be worked, but anybody have information that went beyond this? Or Arnie, did you have just an interest in the article?
Just an interest. I don't have the time right at present.
Thank you. In any case, thank you for bringing it to our attention and sharing it with us for our agenda. Anything we get, we like to follow up at least a little bit on. An instructor, a professor of a university, had a feeling that his students were cheating on their take-home finals. He therefore has decided that he's going to require an in-class final instead, because in this article, he found out that 67% of his students were using artificial intelligence to generate the answers on their final. Not their own answers. 67% of his students failed because they knowingly cheated. He's changed his entire instruction process to require that they have an in-class handwritten final exam. It's amazing. Yes, somebody's hand. It's Bill.
Yeah. The hardest exam I ever took was a take-home final exam. Open book, open notes, open friends. We were encouraged to work together. This should scare you. The homeworks were the proofs your calculus professor said he wasn't going to try to prove on the chalkboard because it'd take all of class, use all of the boards twice, and it'd probably get it wrong. That was the homework. So we could work together to come up with a way to prove 2 out of the 6 questions on the exam, as long as we each wrote our own blue books.
Amazing.
That's, you know, I guess with these AI tools, you could get the AI to create hypothetical bullshit that pretended to prove the theorem, and professors would learn to recognize AI bullshit proofs from the stylistic peculiarities, which are different than naive student peculiarities. But that so we had a week to fill those blue books.
Did you pass? He asks invasively.
Yes. But it was not pleasant.
Oh,
And that course is largely why I did not go on for graduate work in mathematics,
I can believe
which
it.
may be a good thing and may be a bad thing. If I'd known what the next department chair was going to do with the department, I'd probably have stayed. But I didn't know. But life would have been confusing because William E. Ricker, a generation older than me, was working in the same field as the new department chair, even though he was a biologist.
Hmm.
And I've gotten confused for him enough times in 45 years without working in the same little subfield. So maybe just as well.
Oh dear. Congratulations.
Fractals, dynamical systems. Yeah, but that class is why the upstairs bedroom in the new house didn't get converted from an attic into an upstairs bedroom. The first Christmas vacation I had after the new house was built. The running joke is, when I went off to college, my parents moved no forwarding address. They had lived next to the post office, so they were ineligible for RFD and had a rented post box, since after moving cross town to get away from the shopping center, Dad kept his carpool and they just met in the post office parking lot, alternating who left their car. They kept the post office box because Dad was going to be there every work day. So they literally did not have a forwarding address for many years. But since I drove the pegs to say where we expected the excavator would dig the foundation before I went back to college, where the house was not a surprise.
Mm.
Somebody who understood the latest electrical code better than I did from only one semester of industrial arts did revise my draft electrical plan. Somewhat, but they kept the fact that we had twice as many outlets as were normal in the late 60s, early 70s. We saw electrical appliances were becoming popular, and we were not going to have too few outlets.
Good plan.
Mom wanted an outlet under every window for her Christmas candles. With electrical baseboard heating, that wasn't to code, because that would have the cord right above the heater and would have a leak path from the window into the outlet. So they had to be moved to the sides of the windows to prevent the leak, but that meant the cord is now draped over the baseboard heater and needs some loops of fabric to keep it from landing on it. So I'm not convinced it's an improvement, but whatever. Thus endeth the joke.
All right. Thank you. In a county of Virginia, I believe, Henrico County, yes, Virginia, they have 37 data centers already. And because they have 37 data centers, they expect that the electricity costs will rise 25% in the next year. They advise schools to conserve energy. What a great world. Data centers. Oh, use all the water and electricity you want. We'll get the kids to learn in the dark. If you are a Claude user, the future may request that you try the new Chinese AI model. It's called Kimi, I believe. Kimi K3. It has begun to rival the best efforts of our Anthropic and OpenAI versions. And if we can't control it, how will we survive? We will have to find out in the near future, I suppose. Is AI just a flash in a pan, or is it going to rule us in the future? Will it be a US rule or a Chinese rule? We'll come to know. What interested some researcher here was that when you carefully watch the results of AI's output, if you do it right, you will find that the output for exactly the same prompt, you will get different interpretations, and a validated output won't show the same result a second, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth time. The result from the AI will be different. If that is true, how much does that impact your belief that the AI output is really useful? Maybe the variance from one output to the next is tiny, but maybe it's going to be significant. I thought it was an interesting study that person did.
This is important. One of my watchwords on this AI stuff, and larger than just large language models, but many other forms of artificial intelligence that have been hot at one time or another, is auditability, traceability. If the same prompt gets different answers different times, you don't have much audit at all. Saving your prompts doesn't explain how it got the answer. Even if you have ethically sourced training material and ethically sourced power and cooling in a warming climate, and ethically sourced accelerator chips that are driving the market for personal computers out of personal means, you still have a problem with not being able to justify the decisions of the computer. And as a smart person at the company that used to have think posters, IBM, once said, a computer cannot be held responsible for its decisions, so decisions should never be made by computers. And Dick and Jill have their hand up.
Yep.
Me too.
Both of us want to speak. I'm just remembering last spring, I used ChatGPT to plan some delivery routes for signs for our garden club. And the first iteration was not so good, so I asked it to refine it. And the second iteration was even worse, and I asked it to fix that, and the third iteration was even worse. So no, I don't have, it was the free version. So, but it kept taking what I had before that was almost good and quote, fixing, unquote, it in a way that made it even worse. So I'm not sure whether it's this person that was discussing it there was talking to whatever AI instance that he was using, that the AI, I found that the next day ChatGPT remembered all of my discussion. So it keeps building it on whatever you did before. Now, I don't know whether this other guy had that problem and that's why it wasn't working. It was doing something different because it thought you were asking a second time because you didn't like the first answer or something like that. But that's a possibility. And Dick.
A comment and a question. It's obvious that those variations are an indication that even AI agents won't work more than an 8-hour shift. I had 3 of them. That was the difference. And the question is, which would you prefer? Putting nuclear power control in the hands of an AI system or in the hands of a US president?
Maybe we shouldn't even try to answer that one.
I've said for quite a while, I trust the MIT physics department with the reactor in the Cambridge nuclear free zone a lot more than I trust a for-profit corporation.
All right. Australia has decided that if you're going to build a new data center, you must build a renewable power source capable of supporting it. Now that is a good idea. I hope that other countries will decide that that's worth following up on, but maybe not. David Revoy, or Revoy, depending on how you pronounce his French name, he is from France, is a person using primarily the program Krita, Krita, to do his cartoon work, which he does elegantly. And he is a prolific artist, has done a lot of help work on a lot of open source projects beyond Krita, where he is well recognized as an artist as well as a program developer. He has been accused of having his work look like it was generated by artificial intelligence. And this is the particular cartoon that was questioned online. Oh, where is it? There it is. The way the cartoon is drawn is intentionally overlay looking. The back is sort of faded out, and the character is emphasized in the foreground. The link is to a discussion around it, and is completely flummoxed because people are accusing him of using artificial intelligence to draw his work, even though he has his pepper and carrot cartoon that he has frequently shown himself drawing using Krita. This is not somebody that just came in off the street and is a fly-by-night artist. This guy is recognized, kind of like accusing Renoir or one of the other artists of their day of not actually holding a brush, but having their students do all their work for them, something like that. Hand up from Dick and Jill.
Wait,
My question is,
Or go ahead. There is a new web font designed to hide information in its web pages so that it is not visible on screen. So that it is visible to a person reading the page, but not to the AI scrapers. Sounds like a good idea, but it also really just does not work at all with a screen reader. And the combination of these two links is worth your view if you can take a few minutes to consider the issue. The web is being scraped constantly. That's a thing that was supposed to not be possible using a robots file on your website, but the scrapers of mean-spirited companies do not honor that. They go ahead and scrape everything. This was an effort by a company to come up with a way to make what you read, not what you write on a blog or something of that sort, not scrapable. So I don't know. And a quick one here, the Virginia Data Center, one of those multitude that are mentioned up here, had such a power glitch at some point it caused flickering lights up and down the eastern US seaboard. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? And OpenAI hacked, or its software hacked a competing company's software. There you go. Read these in the next month if you have the chance. There's plenty more to come in next month. I have about a dozen already gathered that I didn't want to try to add today, and we just made it past 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Our allotted 2 hours has come and gone, and I thank you all for your participation and for your good comments, and positive and negative. We love them all. Anybody that has something they want mentioned, leave it in the comments in the chat, and I will copy that for adding to the agenda's final version over the next day or so. Dick, do send your links. Oh, I see he's already gone, but he planned to do that anyway. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you, Dennis, for recording it. And we'll see you next month on the second Thursday, 10th of September. 10th of September next month.
See you then.
Thanks
Bye,
for
everybody.
being here.
Okay, thanks. This was a great meeting, really packed with stuff.
Cool. Glad you enjoyed it, Bob.